selama ini perilaku-perilaku untuk kayak stay to true ourselves itu lumayan di-condemn di culture di mana kita perlunya menyenangkan orang lain, terutama misalnya menyenangkan orang tua. Dan kadang-kadang jadinya equation-nya nggak balance antara dari waktu kita atau dari resource yang kita punya, berapa banyak yang kita pakai buat menyenangkan diri kita sendiri dan buat menyenangkan orang lain.
Welcome to Follow Your Flow Podcast. Kita membantu lifelong learner untuk berproses menuju life model yang lebih optimal dan sustainable. Di sini, kita akan belajar dari banyak sumber, mulai dari lifelong learner yang kita interview, sampai insight yang gue dan Mbak Ika dapat dari buku, artikel, podcast, maupun hasil refleksi pribadi kami. Di akhir setiap episode, lo akan mendapatkan science-backed pragmatic step yang bisa membantu lo untuk mentransformasi hidup lo. Hope you enjoy this episode.
Halo Fer.
Hai.
Oke, jadi untuk episode kali ini kita kedatangan seorang tamu. Tamu itu adalah Vera. Gue udah kenal Vera mungkin berarti dari 2011 kali ya, Fer ya?
Iya, sekitaran.
Exactly. Jadi gue tuh dulu kenal Vera di debat. Jadi kita dulu sama-sama aktif untuk ikut lomba debat bahasa Inggris. Jadi sering ketemu di komunitas. Terus Vera itu dulu kalau nggak salah lo SMA di Balikpapan ya.
Mhm.
Terus kuliahnya di BINUS. Terus habis itu melanglang buana. Dan kita sempat sekantor ketika Vera itu sama gue kerja di Gojek. Dan sekarang Vera ini baru aja pindah ke Facebook di London. Nah, jadi hari ini tuh gue pengen ngobrol sama lo sih, Ver, tentang gimana sih journey lo gitu ya. Tadi kan kayak kalau orang ngelihat story lo ya, lo dari Balikpapan, terus lo kuliah ke Jakarta, lo kerja di Jakarta, terus lo akhirnya sampailah nih di London gitu loh.
Mhm.
Boleh ceritain sedikit nggak sih story-nya gimana gitu?
Okay, well, now that you frame it that way juga sebenarnya gue agak susah juga percayanya karena not only did I come from a small town called Balikpapan, tapi I was also raised as a woman gitu in a sadly country di mana it's not encouraged for women to pursue things other than family or getting married or the traditional values gitu. And sebenarnya juga gue waktu kecil gue inget banget gue tuh nggak di raised to be ambitious person gitu. In fact kayak gue dulu yang penting naik kelas ya udah deh syukur gitu. There was no such thing as like tiger parenting yang kayak oh lo harus 90 harus 100 or whatever gitu. No. It's just like as long as gue naik kelas udah syukur bagus, happy, and then dapat Barbie gitu or whatever female toys. Ya, terus sampai SMA pun juga gitu until I don't know for some reason I was always drawn into Western movies or whatever yang kayak akhirnya kayak kind of open my eyes a bit. Terus udah gitu gue pengen kuliahnya di Jakarta thinking that oh my god Jakarta kayaknya keren gitu kayak big city terus kayak waktu itu gue nganggapnya ntar gue bakal hidupnya kayak glamorous or whatever so I decided to go to any university yang ada di Jakarta. In fact kayak my parents never asked me about the accreditation lah atau jurusannya gimana lah because again I was not raised to be ambitious so I was just going to a college just because my parents had the extra money to send me to college and then you pick whatever college gitu. And so I decided to go to Jakarta. Kebetulan dapatnya BINUS because it was private. Terus pas gue di sana and then I encountered debating community and then I learned a lot. Terus it again opened up my eyes again about the so many possibilities, opportunities for women to also be ambitious gitu. And then terus udah gitu selesai debat, gue turns out life isn't as easy. I struggled a bit about with my career initially. Gue kayak kerja di company yang I wouldn't say as like it's not McKinsey, it's not whatever, but it really helped me strengthen my portfolio juga gitu. And I don't know. And then I just kept building on and on sampai akhirnya gue nyampe di London gitu sih.
Wow. Tadi gue actually penasaran sama satu hal, Fer. Sebelum kita ngebahas specifically movement lo kayak ke London gitu ya. Gue penasaran kan dari awal lo langsung cerita bahwa lo tidak dibesarkan di keluarga di mana women itu tuh expected to be ambitious dan punya karir gitu loh. Nah terus pertanyaan gue adalah kayak ketika lo misalnya pindah ke Jakarta gitu, apa resistensi atau challenge yang lo hadapin saat itu? Atau justru
Oh,
sebenarnya orang tua lo oke-oke aja gitu?
mereka oke-oke aja jadi sebenarnya waktu itu maybe the only struggle was it's far away from them. Terus kayak lebih ke cewek itu jangan jauh-jauh dari orang tua. Terus kayak like there was a lot of concern around my safety. Which I guess is pretty standard karena gue ngelihat banyak teman-teman gue dari SMA juga yang nggak dibolehin kuliah ke luar kota because they were females and therefore kayak mereka harus dekat sama keluarga gitu.
I
So I
see.
think that was the only resistance coming from my family sih in terms of me going to Jakarta. And by the way, I went to Jakarta juga alone gitu. I did not have any family members atau relatives atau kayak yang gimana gitu di Jakarta. So I was completely living alone, independent. So jadi ada concern about safety, tapi gue juga ngerasa gue orangnya pecicilan sih. Kayak gue ngerasa gue orangnya lumayan pecicilan. I'm kind of proud to say that I can be independent. Jadi I wasn't really scared gitu about living in a big city alone.
Oh, berarti sebenarnya tadi it came to as a surprise for me karena misalnya biarpun orang tua lo tidak mengexpect lo untuk mempersu karir atau being ambitious, tapi setidaknya mereka tidak memblok lo untuk pindah ke Jakarta kan. Karena gue tahu juga beberapa kasus di mana ketika orang tua yang ngerasa kayak udah lah lo di sini aja jangan jauh-jauh, itu juga ada gitu kan. Tapi I think in your case lo masih dibolehkan lah ya untuk ke Jakarta.
Yeah, I think in a way, sure, it might sound like I was lucky because I realized that a lot of women are not given that opportunity gitu. Tapi also I remember dulu pas ekspektasinya adalah gue akan ke Jakarta kuliah terus pulang gitu. Terus kayak abis itu balik nggak tahu dapat kerja atau kayak just get a husband or whatever. Yang penting balik lagi ke hometown gitu. Dan so there was a bit of resistance gitu. Tapi luckily my parents have never been the type yang forcing their agenda onto their kids gitu sih, to that extreme. Jadi kayak ya gue stay di Jakarta pun nggak apa-apa, tapi sometimes denger sih kayak celoteh-celoteh kayak wouldn't it be nice kalau misalnya balik lagi, kalau di sini kan you have everything, like you don't need to worry about money, you don't need to worry about this and that and this and that. Selalu ada itu sih, even sampai sekarang pun like I'm in freaking London gitu, and I think I make pretty good money, and yet my parents tuh masih yang kayak kayak as a backup plan, if you're not happy you can always go back, yang kayak gitu, and you don't need to be so ambitious because waktu gue di Gojek juga I still wanted to pursue a master's degree. Pas gue di Gojek terus kayak my mom tuh kayak kept telling me, ngapain sih S2, kan di Gojek udah oke gitu, kayak udah cukup loh duitnya, like what's there to pursue gitu. So there's always that gitu.
Gue punya 2 follow up question dari apa aja yang baru lo jelasin. Pertama, kasus kayak lo tuh gue beberapa kali sering dengar sih dari teman-teman follow your flow juga, dimana kayak ketika apa yang kita mau dan apa yang orang terdekat kita, salah satu orang terdekat kita expect tuh berbeda gitu. Nah gimana lo navigate ke situasi itu?
Maksudnya beda nih gimana?
Kayak misalnya kan orang tua lu seakan-akan ngedrop hint bahwa udahlah ngapain sih, kayak sibuk-sibuk kerja gitu, udah pulang aja. Sedangkan lo kan sebenarnya kalau yang dari tadi gue tangkap lo lebih kayak mengejar karir gitu kan. Which is gue ngeliat kayak agak-agak beda. Dan buat banyak orang it can be very stressful. Kalau di lo sendiri gimana cara lo kayak work around it?
Mental health. Good to me because I feel like that's super important, dan I do take care of my mental health. I see a therapist once in a while. Well, not once in a while, regularly. Tapi gue ngerasa what therapy and mental health awareness have done to me adalah kayak sort of kayak at least control my emotional problems with dealing with that drama gitu loh, like of disappointing my family. But also I think the key fundamental thing that everyone would benefit from is knowing the fact that if you have parents yang kayak punya ekspektasi tertentu terhadap lu, or even society or whatever, then number one, it's typically a projection of what they would like in their lives, but cannot attain it. Therefore, kayak mereka ngasih the hopes and dreams itu onto you, so it's your burden now to fulfill whatever is missing from their lives, gitu. And the second fundamental thing to keep in mind is, it doesn't matter how hard you work. It just, it doesn't matter what you do. They will never be satisfied, gitu, because eventually you're never gonna be them. You're never gonna be what they want to see, gitu. And pas gue dapat realization itu, gue akhirnya nyadar kayak ya udah, and it doesn't only relate to karir ya, tapi juga in terms of relationships, karena gue ngerasa juga sebagai cewek gue di-expect untuk nikah lah, untuk kayak punya anak lah, terus kalau gue punya suaminya harus gini lah, gitu lah, terus gue ngerasa kayak ya it will never end, gitu. Ntar kalau misalnya gue nikah nih, misalnya gue dapet cowok yang sesuai dengan harapan mereka, and then mereka bakal pengen punya anak, and then pas gue punya anak, say gue nurutin mereka lagi, and then there will come a new set of requirements, gitu. Anak lu harus dididik secara tertentu, gitu. They wanna raise their grandchildren tuh kayak gini, anak tuh harus kayak gini. And once I do that, there will always be a new set of requirements. It will be endless, gitu. Jadi knowing that there is nothing you do that will completely 100% satisfy them is liberating, gitu jadinya. Kayak I feel liberated in knowing that ya udah, so it doesn't matter, gitu. So what matters is what I want.
Wow, menarik. Tadi yang menarik banget adalah ketika lo nge-frame bahwa whatever I do will not satisfy them, and it feels liberating, gitu. Karena kalau gue justru biasanya, kalau gue personally lihatnya terbalik, gitu kan. Justru kayak ketika gue berada di situasi kayak gitu, gue mungkin cenderungnya menjadi hopeless, karena kayaknya apapun yang gue perbuat tuh gak akan mengubah mereka lah, gitu. Tapi bisa gak Fer lo jelasin lagi kayak di konteks lo, kenapa ketika lo tahu bahwa lo justru tidak akan pernah membuat mereka satisfied, itu buat lo liberating?
Hard to define ya. Tapi gue ngerasa maybe, of course, it's through years of self work. Kayak I've worked on building my self image, my self confidence, gitu. Jadi I'm not saying kayak there's a secret recipe yang kayak langsung mind blowing, gitu, kayak suddenly you're free. But it's through like years of going to therapy, through years of crying or drama dan segala macam. But gue ngerasa what's important is you need to have a core confidence, gitu, yang kayak in knowing that you are good, period. And kayak in knowing that you are good, kayak therefore sebenarnya you build confidence in knowing that, oh, I have quirks, I have this, I know I want this, I want that. And those are the things that you would not give up for somebody else, gitu, for example. Then therefore kayak, and pas you have this kayak self-confidence, and then knowing that to satisfy anyone other than yourself is to change you, the core you, then gue ngerasa it feels liberating in knowing that, you know what, I don't want to be that, gitu, because I like me, gitu, I like myself the way I am. So then why, gitu, because I feel like I'm more important than my parents, gitu, in a way.
Ya. Wow, that's interesting. Dan menurut gue tadi point of view lo menarik banget, karena gue bisa relate to some extent, biarpun mungkin gue bukan woman. Kayak culture tuh memang agak-agak membentuk kita untuk lebih kayak gimana kita menyenangkan orang lain, how we should sacrifice ourselves, atau misalnya kebahagiaan orang lain, terutama misalnya orang tua rasanya kayak lebih penting dari kita, gitu kan. Tapi tadi menurut gue lu punya poin yang menarik bahwa ya udah kayak at certain point ya you should prioritize yourself, right? That's interesting sih.
It feels liberating to be selfish. And then I'm not saying that kita sebagai humans harus kayak selfish to the extent of not caring about not being considerate, gitu, of others' feelings. But it's about knowing that like as long as you do not do harm, and I know like it's so apa ya, like it's not as simple as that, right? Because sometimes you do cause harm.
Yeah.
Tapi as long as knowing kayak there's a set of moral guidance or whatever yang kayak nge-guide you, you are a good person gitu. You like believe that you're a good person, you're doing this for you, not to hurt others gitu. But at the same time knowing that okay, it might cause pain to certain people like my parents. You know, I'm not gonna be the traditional female character.
Yeah.
Tapi it's their issues gitu. It's ketika mereka disappointed in me not getting married soon, it's their issues. It's not me gitu kayak. It's whatever kayak. It's not personal. Again, it's liberating to know that things are not personal. When people impose certain standards on you, it's not personal. It's not about you. It's about them gitu. It's about them yang maybe they have their own baggage, they have their own issues. Therefore, they create this projections of what they want to see in other people other than themselves gitu. I don't know if it makes sense, but
well, kalau menurut gue itu make sense sih, karena gue personally percaya bahwa ini ideally balance. Dan tapi ini tergantung juga persepsi orang terhadap orang tua atau gimana ya. Karena buat beberapa orang, ya udah kayak buat gue orang tua ya udah orang tua aja gitu. Gue nggak punya obligasi sama sekali untuk menyenangkan mereka. Karena menurut gue orang tua gue valuable, ya udah gue mencoba untuk ngebalance dua-duanya gitu. Kayak okay, in some point I hear you, in some point no, please hear me, gitu kan. Tapi kayak memang menavigate through this balance tuh lumayan seru. Dan bahkan waktu itu gue pernah nanya sama mentor gue di kantor gitu loh, gimana sih caranya kita ngebalance antara kayak being selfish and being selfless. Terus padahal dia tuh pinter banget, terus dia sampai diem dulu kayak, I don't have good answer for that. Karena ujung-ujungnya itu kayak bakal terus-terus kayak ntar at one point lo bakal terlalu condong ke terlalu ngurusin diri lo sendiri, nanti lo bakal geser lagi ke ngurusin orang lain, nanti diri sendiri ke orang lain. Jadi kayak itu lebih fluid dari yang gue kira sebelumnya gitu.
Tapi it's interesting karena gue ingat banget kayak you know in a lot of my therapy sessions, kayak most of the times tuh my therapy tuh will point out things yang kayak like Vera, that's disrespectful to you gitu. What that person did is disrespectful gitu. And the thing is, growing, I don't know if it has something to do with being a woman or just being a person di culture di mana you have to sacrifice yourself for the good of the community. Kayak you are not trained, kayak insting lo tuh nggak di-train to identify things that disrespect you gitu as a person. And as simple as gue waktu itu pernah kayak I don't know, kayak misalnya gue lagi pengen nge-approach, kayak pengen ketemuan sama somebody, I will not name them, tapi intinya pas gue mau approach mereka tuh I was already feeling self-conscious about my look gitu, kayak I was always conscious gitu. Dan pas mereka ngeliat gue, what they did before gue approach mereka adalah mereka bisik-bisik satu sama lain and sambil ngeliatin gue gitu, kayak dari atas sampai bawah. And it didn't make me feel good gitu. I felt why gitu kayak. And then I told the story to my therapist gitu. Terus kayak dia bilang, yeah, that's disrespectful. First of all, let's call it what it is. And the thing is, it always takes me by surprise karena again, I was never trained to identify when somebody is disrespecting me, and therefore I was always trained to, oh ya udahlah, nggak apa-apa. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe you know, maybe I look funny. Maybe whatever gitu. And same way with so many other things gitu that happen in terms of career, relationships, friendships gitu. People do disrespectful things to you, but you don't know enough to call them out on this gitu. And I think the struggle between selfish dan selfless tuh kayak, I think what people need to learn is at least know their worth and call out on people who kind of threaten their worth gitu loh. Kayak not necessarily kayak langsung dasar lu kayak whatever, you know, like be hostile, no. But it's just like acknowledging that okay, it's not me, it's them yang berperilaku tertentu yang sebenarnya it's not nice, and therefore I'm choosing to do something for me, and therefore it's okay gitu. I don't know. Yeah, it's complex.
Yeah. The entire thing yang lo bilang menurut gue related banget sama sebuah hal yang juga kebetulan lagi gue pelajarin tentang boundary, tentang setting up boundary. Yang tadi lo bilang adalah ketika ada orang bikin lo gak nyaman, itu adalah terjadi sebuah boundary violation. Karena lo punya sebuah boundary, terus orang disrespecting your boundaries, tapi so far dari tadi yang lo sebut, lo dan gue juga bisa bilang gue tidak terbiasa untuk meng-call out atau untuk kayak stand for ourselves gitu, bahwa no, this is boundary violation. Kita lebih kayak yaudah terima aja lah. Soalnya kalau nggak terima nanti dibilang nggak asik lah, dibilang terlalu sensitif lah, dibilang kayak apaan sih kok gitu aja, rese kayak gitu, kenapa sih lo GR banget gitu. Jadinya kita nggak terbiasa. Padahal sebenarnya it was a boundary violation. Dan yang gue tangkap tadi di konteks dimana lo ngerasa bahwa aspirasi lo kayak didikte, lo udah berhasil untuk nge-set boundary bahwa enggak, this is me gitu. If you feel disappointed, ya berarti kasarnya that's your problem, that's not my problem gitu kan gitu.
Yes.
Gue jadi penasaran sih, kayak this entire thing kayak how helpful ini untuk memotivate lo ketika lo akhirnya searching job outside Indonesia.
To be honest, I feel lucky enough karena like I said, sebenarnya gue juga waktu itu nggak actively looking for a job outside gitu. In fact, I wasn't actively looking for any job. So a bit of like a personal background into my career. Jadi tuh tahun lalu gue tuh rencananya pengen S2 ke luar negeri waktu itu, tapi motivasi gue juga salah sih, karena gue waktu itu pengen S2 karena gue pengen nyamperin pacar gue at the time. Terus abis itu kita putus, and then I got depressed, like my self-worth was rock bottom, and then I started to try to rebuild my confidence. Terus waktu itu I made a commitment gitu on my birthday last year that you know what, I'm gonna focus on me and me only gitu, and I'm not gonna focus on somebody else gitu or a relationship. Terus habis itu gue akhirnya waktu itu gue at the time kerja di Gojek, terus gue berkomitmen untuk dapat promotion gitu at least before gue S2 tahun depan, karena tadinya gue masih mikir ya udah gue S2 tapi dipostpone aja ke tahun depan. So I finally tried to get a promotion. I spoke with my manager at the time. Terus kayak gue pengen tahu gimana caranya supaya gue bisa dipromote in the next 6 months gitu. And then again kayak kebetulan banget there was an opportunity untuk kayak pindah posisi di Gojek. Dan waktu itu it was a more strategic position yang menurut gue ngebantu CV gue banget. And also I like the challenge. It's a bigger responsibility. It gives me more opportunities to be seen by people dan to showcase my skill sets. Terus akhirnya I took it December 2019. Terus waktu itu gue fokusnya yaudah deh kayak how do I excel at this job gitu. How do I not fuck up this new promotion gitu. So-called promotion. Terus udah gitu tiba-tiba pas bulan Februari, literally 2 bulan setelah gue ke promote, itu gue di-approach sama recruiter dari Facebook gitu. Terus gue kayak, apaan nih gitu kan. Kayak, maybe dia cuma kayak approach random people, nyuruh gue apply, kirim CV. Terus udah, I did it anyway. I did not think I would stand a chance waktu itu, karena gue ngerasa, who am I gitu. Terus gue apply aja anyway, gue kirim CV gue, and turns out, gue dipanggil buat interview gitu. Waktu itu sama HR-nya, terus habis itu, for some reason kayak it just went on and on and on gitu, kayak I just kept getting more interviews with Facebook gitu, dan Mei akhir gue akhirnya dapat final confirmation that I got the job. So waktu itu kayak bener-bener kayak gue kaget banget. I did not have any expectations that I would get the job. I didn't even expect to get an interview gitu with them. It happened, but at the same time I also realized that I was so focused on me, and I really try to make it happen gitu. It's not like gue interviewnya juga nggak prepare gitu. I prepared myself, like I even approach you lah, nanya-nanya tentang kayak case studies lah, kayak gue waktu itu really did my research. Gue bener kayak kayak belajar UN gitu, and like learn about the job, kayak learn about the industry dan segala macam, and it landed me this job gitu. So that's kind of the background of it.
Wow. Berarti sebenarnya ketika recruiter itu reach out benar-benar out of the blue ya. It's not that you are actively looking outside, tapi tiba-tiba ada aja yang meng-approach lo gitu ya.
Iya, kaget juga sih gue. Iya, bener-bener kayak gue nggak looking, cause at the time I really was focused on my career di Gojek gitu. I really wanted to impress the people who made the decision to promote me gitu. And that was it gitu. Terus tapi at the same time juga, I mean like this is a bigger opportunity gitu at Facebook, and not to mention kayak Well, first of all, it would give me an opportunity to live abroad, which has kind of always been my dream. Tapi juga it's a bigger company, obviously, and also at the same time, the role itself is it's more challenging gitu, karena kayak this time I will be alone gitu. Maksudnya sure kayak I have manager and teammates dan segala macam, cuma for this specific role kayak kebetulan tuh kayak tipe role yang kayak I have my own thing gitu, and I have to build it from scratch kind of. Even though sure like it's not completely 100% mine, tapi I have a bigger sense of ownership terhadap what I'm doing right now in my company gitu. So yeah, everything aligns gitu, and so it was an easy decision gitu for me to leave my career at Gojek gitu.
Ya. Well, biarpun tadi gue ngerasa lo nge-frame-nya seakan-akan ini kebetulan ya gitu loh. Tapi if you really take like a step back and ngeliat gitu kayak hidup lo setahun terakhir gitu, how should I put it? Lebih kayak apa nih kira-kira yang bikin lo kenapa tiba-tiba lo bisa di-approach kayak gitu?
Iya.
Iya nggak sih?
Ya, bener banget. Dan I know kita sempat ngomongin ini sebelumnya. Kayak gue ngerasa the answer is you, in a way, you make your own luck. Gitu. And of course, it's not as easy as that gitu. And I'm not gonna say that luck is like kayak conjurable gitu. No.
Yeah.
But it's like small steps, small decisions, small changes in your daily habits maybe, or in your career decisions, whatever decisions, yang incrementally bakal lead you to a better environment di mana luck-nya lebih besar gitu, probability-nya. And I really like that concept gitu, because, it's like, if you think about it, I could just say that, yeah, I was lucky. I was born in a small town, terus gue lucky, gue pindah ke Jakarta, terus kayak, wow, gue dapat teman gini, terus gue abis itu gini lah kayak selesai gue kuliah, gue dapat kerjaan gini lah, segala macam. It's easy, right, to frame it that way. Yeah. But at the same time, I also kept trying to make the luck happen gitu. So, like I kept meeting up friends yang were positive influence to me. Kayak I decided to, it's not like gue kayak social climber lah. I don't think I'm a social climber, but if you do, apologies. But it's about just making sure that your friends have similar goals with you gitu. So, and I think the easiest example is waktu gue sempat decide pengen S2 gitu ke luar negeri. Waktu itu kayak, if gue stay di hometown gue, kayak gue nggak akan nganggap as a possibility gitu, kayak untuk kayak kuliah di luar, terus kayak actually, tanpa duit orang tua, tanpa beasiswa, tanpa ini, tanpa itu, terus kayak dapat kerja di luar, oh my god, like there's no way gitu, kayak you're staying here gitu. Tapi kayak because gue waktu di Jakarta, gue kayak lebih terbuka, gue punya circle of friends yang lebih luas, terus kayak udah gitu, actively, subconsciously berteman dengan orang-orang yang kayak pernah punya pengalaman kuliah di luar, pernah punya pengalaman dengan FPDP lah, atau apa segala macam, yang akhirnya kayak gue dapat more knowledge about, so it is a possibility gitu, it is possible loh sebenarnya for you to kuliah di luar. Terus udah gitu gue juga berteman dengan orang-orang yang misalnya pernah kerja gitu di luar, and what used to be an impossibility is now a real possibility gitu, because apparently there are more people loh sebenarnya dari Indonesia yang kuliah dan kerja di luar gitu. So it's not an anomaly gitu, kayak you don't need to have been born rich to, because that was my perception gitu. Oh, lu harus kaya, lu harus tajir dulu supaya lu bisa kayak gitu. But yeah, sure, like some parts of people are like that, tapi kayak sometimes no gitu, kayak you can gitu, dan those things are things yang gue sadari setelah gue make these small decisions of putting myself in a better position, di mana gue punya access to information, to the network lah, segala macam. Terus kayak misalnya gue belajar ngebagusin LinkedIn gue, for example, karena gue berteman dengan orang-orang yang punya pengalaman dengan misalnya kayak building a LinkedIn profile. Gue berteman dengan orang-orang yang punya pengalaman di HR gitu, for example. Jadi gue tahu what to look out for, what to put in my CV, how to present myself, dan segala macam. All of these small decisions jadi kayak mount up gitu. Dan akhirnya I think it put me in a better position di mana my LinkedIn stood out. My LinkedIn profile stood out. Dan akhirnya it was easier gitu. And also in terms of interviews, again, like, putting myself in a position di mana gue punya teman-teman yang gue bisa tanyain tentang how an interview process goes. Gue punya teman-teman yang kerja di industri yang tertentu yang now I'm handling, so I can ask them questions. And those, again, small incremental changes in my life put me in a better, luckier position gitu.
Exactly. Wow. Sebenarnya tadi exactly gue mau nanya pertanyaan itu, Fer. Kayak lo punya habit-habit apa yang kayak bisa membawa lo sampai ke sini gitu kan. Tapi lo sudah menjelaskan dengan sangat baik, yaitu dengan expanding your network. Terus lo jadi terekspos sama orang-orang yang sebenarnya mungkin awalnya lo nggak nyangka lo akan punya hidup seperti mereka. Tapi ternyata lo bisa juga gitu loh. Dan tadi gue suka juga karena menurut gue ada bedanya antara pure luck and serendipity. Kalau pure luck tuh misalnya tiba-tiba lo menang lotre, lo menang undian gitu. Tapi menurut gue yang terjadi di lo adalah serendipity gitu. Itu adalah sebuah investment kecil yang mungkin udah tanpa sadar lo lakukan sejak lo memutuskan pindah ke Jakarta, yang akhirnya ke-pile up dan akhirnya termaterialize recently.
Yes, I agree. Dan gue ngerasa, I don't know what to say, but definitely gue ngerasa a lot of people, and it's not just about career, right? Like it's about everything, the way you live your life. You will be in a happier position if you start making those small changes in your life yang sebenarnya akan pile up dan kayak bikin lu happier gitu in general because you make those small decisions.
Yep. Oke. Nah, gue punya 2 pertanyaan lagi. Jadi kita tuh pengen mencoba sebuah hal baru di mana kita nanya semua guest kita 3 pertanyaan yang sama. Sebenarnya tadi 1 pertanyaan udah lo jawab sendiri tanpa gue tanyain, which thank you so much. Gue punya 2 pertanyaan lagi. Pertanyaan yang kedua ini adalah, dari skala 1 sampai 10, seberapa fulfilled lo dan kenapa?
Hard to say. I would say kayak in between 8 or 9, 8
Nice.
atau 9.
Kenapa tuh?
Gue ngerasa fulfilled karena it's so far kayak all of the things that happen in my life have been pretty good gitu. Like I don't want to come across out of touch lah atau gimana ya, tapi life is good to me gitu so far. Kayak I just moved to London gitu, and like there are new things to explore. I just got a new job in like a pretty big company. Terus kayak my boss is nice, like everyone's nice. Terus kayak the work I enjoy gitu. And terus kayak I don't like to say it, tapi kayak gue barusan punya pacar baru lah. Terus kayak things have been going pretty well. Terus so like there are so many things to be grateful for, although it's not a 10 gitu. Karena gue ngerasa from what we discussed earlier, to be perfectly raw and honest, of course I still kayak have some leftover baggage gitu from my family's expectations. Kayak I live here, so technically I'm kind of selfish gitu to them, karena kayak not, instead of kayak being close to my parents, taking care of them, kayak gue melalang buana lah sendiri. Terus masih ada kayak leftover. Terus kayak masih ada ekspektasi nikah, masih ada ekspektasi punya anak lah, dan segala macam. Yang those things bother me. Tapi I wouldn't say it bothers me to the extent of gue depressed yang kayak gimana ya. Kayak I'm still pretty solid gitu. It's an 8 or 9.
Dan sebagai orang yang pernah ngobrol sama lo dari beberapa tahun ke belakang gitu, ya, mungkin ini adalah hasil dari investasi dari pelajaran-pelajaran yang lo dapatkan gitu, ya kan? Kayak all the struggles that you told me before gitu, kayak personally, professionally, yang mungkin kayak gue sampai mikir kayak, oh wow, kayak I hope that made you stronger gitu. Kayak I sincerely believe that ketika lo dulu ceritain itu ke gue. Cuma kayak again waktu itu gue ngerasa bahwa aduh, ketika gue bilang gitu tapi gue lagi nggak on the same struggle kayak lo, kayak mungkin gue sebenarnya nggak bisa benar-benar merasakan gitu. Tapi now fast forward few years after that, gue sangat yakin sih apa yang terjadi di masa lalu lo tuh yang benar-benar bikin bisa lo kayak sekarang sih. So
Yes.
well deserved.
Oh, thank you. I mean, if you think about it, kayak waktu gue debat, waktu kita dulu ketemu juga, I was still a struggling person gitu, kayak mentally, so I was never happy gitu. Dan I've talked about this so many times with my debate friends, kayak dulu, misalnya gue ada ikut lomba nasional gitu, terus waktu itu gue masuk ke grand final, dan I actually dapat second rank gitu, which is impressive gitu if you look at it. Kayak I was second position, terus waktu itu gue juga masuk top 4 best speaker lah, pas segala macam, which is like an amazing achievement for someone yang, again, if you look at it, came from a small town with no access to all of this information and education gitu. But waktu itu I was just never happy gitu, I was never content, karena I kept having this void yang kayak gue masih insecure lah, gue masih nggak punya self confidence yang enough to know that you know what, this is good gitu. And I think I started making changes, I started going to therapy, I started surrounding myself with positive influence in terms of friends, in terms of career or whatever decisions, yang akhirnya sekarang, you know, if I can look at it, of course I can always find the negative in my life. Even when I moved to London, I can always say that, oh, the weather is shit. Why would I want to live? Whatever, you know, like there's always negative gitu. But once you start making these incremental changes, then you start to kayak clear up your lens in life gitu. Kayak tadinya gue ngerasa kacamata gue tuh kabur banget gitu, karena jadinya negatif, everything is negative. Tapi once I make these changes, terus sekarang jadi lebih clear. So objectively speaking, I can say that I'm content with life. And even though there are struggles with whatever, I'm still, you know, an 8 or 9.
Ya. Dan menurut gue itu yang pengen banget gue highlight ke siapapun yang nonton video ini atau kayak dengerin podcast ini gitu. Karena mungkin gampang banget untuk orang julid untuk bilang, iyalah lo dari level 8 atau 9, karir lo lagi bagus banget, lo baru punya pacar, everything is like being sorted out gitu. Cuma buat banyak orang yang gak kenal lo sebelumnya, mereka gak tahu aja apa yang udah lo gone through on the past few years. At least selama gue kenal lo dan gue tahu journey lo, kayak wow gitu loh, it's just wow. Menurut gue ya, ini adalah hasil dari apa yang lo pelan-pelan lakukan gitu. Dan sekarang baru kelihatan aja. Maksudnya mungkin sebenarnya progresnya udah ada dari dulu. Cuma kan again, ini benar-benar yang kayak simbol that it really happened gitu kan. Final question dari gue, final questionnya adalah, kalau lo bisa ketemu lagi sama diri lo yang baru berumur 17 tahun ya, apa yang akan lo bilang ke dia?
Hard to say sih, tapi I think, I don't know, so many life lessons, right? How do you capture all of those in one simple, memorable quote gitu?
Yeah.
Tapi I think, you know, maybe start with saying that you are worthy. You're actually pretty good. You're not so bad gitu. Kayak, so don't beat yourself up just because whatever life throws at you. So that's probably the number one I want to tell her gitu. And second, I think kayak, you know, knowing that, I don't know, you'll always find ways, even though kayak, and I like this quote, sebenarnya waktu itu gue sempat dengar quote dari kayak a talk show episode gitu, terus kayak waktu itu kayak ada the guest itu bilang, ya tadinya tuh gue gini, tapi now I made this decision, sekarang gue lebih sukses because of that. You know, who knows what would have happened kalau misalnya gue took the wrong turn gitu. And then the other person tuh malah bilang, well, I'm sure your life would have been as awesome, just different. And I really believe that gitu. So kayak, I think your like maybe, you know, maybe I would have not ended up in London gitu. Maybe I would have ended up maybe in Jakarta, but I would have been content gitu. Maybe it would have been an awesome life too. So I think the second piece of advice is, yeah, like you will find a way to make your life meaningful, because that's the nature of a human being gitu. You will always strive to find meaning, and so it's okay, like everything's good.
Alright, well said, Fer. So thank you banget for spending your time untuk ngobrol kali ini. Thank you banget if people want to reach out atau pengen ngobrol atau kayak pengen nanya-nanya ke lo gitu, how can they find you?
Wow, social media, easy. Sometimes I'm very open gitu. If anyone wants to ask me about career advice atau kayak apapun lah gitu, so reachable di LinkedIn. If you wanna talk about career, maybe follow my Instagram handle at Catherine Rivera. Terus yeah, I'm okay. I'm open to these things gitu. Maybe I wouldn't share my personal phone number, but you know, for anyone who has any questions about how to prop up their CV or their LinkedIn profile, atau kayak maybe just general questions about finding the right career for you, maybe, I don't know, just reach out.
Alright, cool. Thanks, Fer.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you banget ya udah dengerin episode kita kali ini. Kalau lo suka sama konten ini dan merasa kalau lebih banyak orang perlu mendengarnya, please share this to your network. Karena itu akan membantu mereka untuk menemukan konten ini dan mentransformasi hidup mereka. Jangan lupa juga untuk follow kita di Instagram, karena setiap harinya kita akan post bite-sized content untuk merefresh apa yang teman-teman sudah pelajari di podcast ini. Check out our Instagram @followyourflow.id. Terakhir, ada free course di website kita, yaitu tentang setting up your minimum viable priority, di mana lo bisa memahami prioritas hidup lo dan cara yang lebih konkret untuk mencapainya. Yuk, dapatkan akses di course-nya dengan check out our website di www.followyourflow.id.